the topic. So what I'm going to, we created a G sales underscore one table, and we maintained some data also into this table. Okay, by creating table manager. Now I'm going to create a data source on top of it. Okay, creating a custom data source on a table or a view. Okay, so I'm going to RSO2. So to create a custom data source, what we need to go? We need to go RSO2 T code. Okay, so I'm going to RSO2. Here we need to specify whether what kind of data source it was. So because the table which I am referring is a sales table. Sales means transactional data. So I'm going to select my transactional data and I need to provide the data source name. So what was the data source name? GDS underscore sales underscore one. This is my data source name. So I'm giving same thing. GDS is the data source before naming convention, and sales underscore one is the table name I given in this way. It's up to you, like, or else if it is, since the data source is for BW, you can give like this also: GDS BW sales underscore one. Okay, click on create button, and then it is asking for the application component. Go to F4 help and select the application component, whichever is you needed. So go to R3. One minute, sorry. My system is having a little bit different. Okay, so that's why I'm looking for some. Don't mind. Okay, SAP R3. Let's go here only, and then go to SD, and then select the SD component. Okay, so after selecting, we need to provide a short description. So sales underscore one. Okay, DS. I'm giving this, but when coming to the project point of view, provide one proper description to the data source. Okay, since it is my test data source, I'm giving in this way. Okay, so yeah, that is remember that one. And then how we can create a data source in three ways. Either we create a custom data source based upon view, query, or using extraction by function module. Okay, but in this example, we are going to learn about extraction from a view. View means a view or a table. You see here when with the button extraction from database view is showing view slash table. Okay, based upon the selection you are doing here, the corresponding block, we have three blocks: extraction from DB view, from query, and extraction by function module. Based upon the button, selection you taken here, the corresponding block, any only one will be enabled. So in this case, we are going to create on the table. So I am going here and providing my table name. Okay. So what is my name? G sales underscore one. This is my table name. After giving underscore one, the table name, you need to press enter. When you press enter, you will get one pop-up in this way. Click on OK and then click on save button. So when you click on save button, it is asking for that package and all. As of now, I'm storing under local package. Click on save button. So if system able to take your table successfully, means a table whatever you given is properly given and the system acceptable, then you will get this kind of screen. Okay, so in this screen you need to select which fields are selection fields on your data source, and which fields are if you want to hide any, and if you want to whichever fields you want to bring it to the output. So if you are selecting anything on the selection screen, you can do it. Remaining all I am giving for the output. I am not hiding any field here. Okay, click on save button. So data, you see below the message, data source has been saved successfully. So it means data source was created. Now go to /o RSA3 and try to give your data source name GDS BW underscore sales underscore one. Okay, so and press enter. If you press enter here under data source section, you see the selections whichever you given, it is coming the selection screen. Okay, if some nothing is coming on the selection screen, that means system is not able to detect your data source. Okay, definitely each and every data source may have at least one or two selection fields. Okay, when you press enter here, for example, if I have to press 2 here and then type enter, you see data source not defined in the source system. It is coming in this way. Okay, I am going to slash in RSA 3 one more time and giving underscore to wrong data source name I am giving and pressing enter. You see data source not defined. Selection screen was nothing is coming on the selection screen. So whenever you press enter and you see some fields on the selection screen, system able to recognize your data source. Okay. So if you provide some selection and you can click on extract or directly click on extraction button, which brings data from the corresponding table. You see 13 entries came from this table. Go to LV grid, I can see my data. Okay, a very simple example of how to create a custom data source based upon a table or a view. Okay, so in this there is no ABAP involved at all. It is just a general way knowledge of creating a table data source on a table or view. But sometimes we may get a requirement, okay, to create custom data source. Okay, so at what time we will get requirement to do so. We want to create a okay, so this kind of tables, there is no problem at all. We can bring data daily a full, because my table is small and it is having only 13 records. I created table directly on the view and I'm fetching data. Okay, and here if you see the type of data we have is also one plays a key role. Here document number and created on, only these two are there. Okay, and for example, because this is a sales data, we thought of it is a sales data. In this sales data, for example, today one more record added, so it's always a sequential number of addition of document numbers, because document number is only the key. At any point, if the data got changed in the historical data, for example 1005 document number got changed and it changed the quantity from 100 to 50. So when it changed, so what was changed as per the columns defined in this table, there is no option to mention this particular record was changed on so and so date, right? So that's why when we define custom tables as per to store some transactional data, and if you want to capture the changes, then definitely you need to have at least one more column in your table with it changed on. Okay, so this is nothing but created on, and the other one is nothing but a changed on. Okay, so that so whenever a new record was created, almost the created on value only will be copied into the changed on also. Okay, later point, if any record, historical record was updated by the user, the on the EC system, what happened, the changed on field will be updated with that corresponding date. So here what for example 1005 was created on 210 and later on 510 it was changed to some quantity 50. And then what happens, this particular change will be updated with the latest date. Okay, so this kind of data we will be if our table contains this kind of data and we are bringing this data into our BW on delta mechanism. So what happened, for example here, not for example, here we created a data source and it's a daily full load. Okay, it's a daily a full load data source because we not define any delta pointer to this particular data source. If I want to define a delta pointer for this data source where I can um, where I can define the delta pointer on the generic delta option, I can define my delta pointer. So when you are defining delta pointer on your generic delta, so on which fields you can define. So SAP is giving only 4 different kind of fields you can use for enabling your delta pointer. So what is exactly delta pointer first of all? So you have a data in this way, document number created on. So let's hide for this column for some time to conclude this topic, and then material, quantity, unit. Okay, so this is your data set. So today on for example this data is on second 10, right? On 03/10/2022 you extracted this data into BW. Okay, extracting to BW. So when you are extracting this data into BW, what happens, how many records are there here? For example, this is the table data. I am having here 10 records are there. So when I extract it to BW, 10 records come to BW. When you are extracting this data on 3/10/2022 early morning, for example, 01 AM. Okay, you are extracting this information to BW. But on 3/10 on morning hours, like on the business hours, there will be some more data will generate, right? For example, 1003 is till that time. Why it is like this? Okay, 03/10/2022 on business hours, there are some transactions got generated. Okay. Okay, some transactions got generated on 3/10. Now, next day, what happens? Our BW process chains will run on the nightly hours. So on again on 4/10/2022, same time, what will happen? System will try to bring data again into our BW system. When it is bringing data, we can bring data on two ways. One is a full load, which brings all data from this table again into BW. It means how many records it is? It means around 19 records it can bring when if it is a full load. When I say delta, if it is a delta, already since its system extracted till 1013, I can expect only the extra 9 records. So 9 records if it is a delta. Okay. So bringing full data because it is a transactional data, day by day data will increase. So extracting data time will be more if you do full load on day-to-day basis. So that's why you always try to keep some delta pointer. So what is delta pointer? Delta pointer means the pointer which gives information on till what place, till what how to say, till which record I can say, yeah, till which record the data was already extracted to BW. For example, on this case, on 3/10/2022 morning 1 a.m., it extracted 10 records. It means system will store the information either on a date level or field level, because you see when you defining the delta pointer, you can put delta pointer or numeric pointer or calendar day. Okay, so numeric pointer is nothing but the document number which is in a incremental order. So for example, here in this table the document number is the key. So in that case 1013 is a numeric number where the pointer can store this 1013 number information and keep it somewhere in the system safely. Whenever you trigger the next time data load, system refers to this pointer, and from here means from +1, from 1014 system will start fetching data. So this mechanism is nothing but delta pointer mechanism. Okay, when the pointer is mentioned on the document number which is numeric pointer. For example, if a system is fetching data from calendar day, because calendar day is also one kind of delta point, delta pointer specific field. If you are mentioning your delta pointer on calendar day, then what system will do, after fetching this information, system will take a note of current date. Even if you are creating delta pointer on the date field, system doesn't take the date information from this table. Remember, if it is a numeric pointer, definitely system will take information from your table. But if the pointer is on if the pointer is on date, calendar date, then after extracting data from 1000 to 2013, on 3/10/2022 morning 1 a.m., system will keep the pointer information as current date. Okay, current date system will take it current date or date -1. I think it is a delta pointer. Yeah, it's a take the current date. I can show you that one information how where it exactly it is. As of now, let's take the 3/10 2022. Sorry, even yeah 3/10. System will store the information of 3/10. Okay, so on next day when you are bringing information into BW, 3/10 or 2/10, little confused. I will let you know tomorrow. But system will store the date information. So then, whenever you trigger delta pointer next day, what system will do is system will try to fetch data after this date. Okay, so it means if any records which are generated, for example, let's take it to because to have this one. So a system will save 2 and system will bring data after 2 means 3 and again stores the information of the current date. Okay, whenever you trigger the delta pointer, I think mostly system will store that particular date only. Okay, as a delta pointer, and whenever you trigger next time delta, system will fetch data from that date to the future dates. Okay, or date +1. I will check that one and I will let you know in the tomorrow session again. But when storing, when you creating delta pointer on date, it is like that. Okay, on current system date, the delta pointer will be set down. And there are two more options are there for the delta pointer. What is timestamp UTC, timestamp local. So it comes to timestamp, as you know, timestamp contains the date and the time also. So which is little bit nicer way. So the third delta means timestamp. Okay, so when you define it on the timestamp, now what will happen? System will store, but in order to define your delta pointer on timestamp, you must have timestamp column on your table. Then only you can define a filter delta pointer on timestamp. So if it is a timestamp, it is easy for system to capture that. So what it will do? It will capture the date and time also. Whenever you execute delta, exactly from the date and time, afterwards system will fetch your data which brings the latest information. Okay, so this is how the three kind of delta pointers works on your data source. Okay, which are you created. So to make our topic clear, so what I am going to do, I am going to define a delta pointer now on calendar day. Okay, numeric pointer I already shown you, like we can create another data source to learn about numeric delta pointer, but the topic is same. Now to make our doubt clear on the calendar day delta pointer, I am defining calendar day as a delta pointer here, and then we need to select the date created on. Because you are selecting day as a delta pointer, you need to specify the corresponding field also, which is of type date field. If it is a numeric pointer, you need to select here document number. Okay, and then so click on save button. Click on save button. So delta pointer was enabled. So from now on, what you can do. So you need to again click on save button in order to save your data source. Okay. Now delta pointer was enabled. So now what happens when you extract this information now into BW system? So what will happen? Data you can extract data with a delta pointer. So just give me a second. Now, in order to bring this particular data source into my BW system, what I need to do, because it is S4 HANA system and I created custom data source here, I need to expose this data source to ODP. Then only I can fetch this data source into my BW under ODP enabled data source. You see, in my data source system, in my BW system, I have only ODP, not SAP. I have ODP source system connection. So what I need to do, I need to expose my data source to ODP enabling. Then only I can replicate this data source into my BW. I will do that now. Okay, so how I can expose this data source to BW ODP? So I can go to /n SC38. Okay, and then there is a program to expose it. R ODPS OS expose. Click on execute button and provide your data source name. GDS underscore BW underscore sales underscore 1. Okay, I hope this is my data source name, sales underscore 1, and then click on release data source. Okay, yeah, release data source, click on OK. So this data source is released now to the, yeah, it is asking for a TR, so I can give any one TR of mine. Click on OK. Now this is released for the ODP extraction. Next, I need to replicate this data source in my BW system. Okay, so I will try to replicate now. I may face some challenges due to some issues and all here. I will go to SD and I will try to right click on SD and replicate that metadata and then click on OK. So now, yes, very good. I can see my data source here. I'm deselecting everything. I'm selecting only my GDS, the BW sales underscore 1. Click on OK. And then, yeah, right click on your component, or else, just refresh your data, refresh your tree here, refresh entire tree. Now under SD, you can see your data source name. Where is my data source name? It will come in active state. You see, this is my data source. Now double click on your data source, edit button, activate. So I activated my data source now. Okay, so when I'm after activating, what I need to do, since it is of ODP, I can create an ADSO and then do, created ODP specific to bring the delta. But at the same time, because I am on BW on HANA, not before HANA, still I can have an option to create info package. Okay, so let me do it with the info package. So I'm going to create with info package just to understand this delta point concept, either info package or it is ODP, everything is same here. So update, I'm going to update mode because my data source supports delta point mechanism. I can see here initialize delta process option. If my data source doesn't support delta mechanism, then I can see only full update. This second option won't come at all. Okay, so now I'm initializing my delta process and I'm clicking on initialization with data transfer. I'm going to schedule. I'm clicking on start button. Now what will happen? The data which is there in my table will be extracted into my BW system, and then later if I click on delta, only delta data information only will come into my system. Okay, I'm clicking on execute button. 13 records came into my system and delta got also initialized. You see 1013 records, 1013 till records came here. Go back here. Now if I click on the info package, double click on info package, scheduler, initialization options for source system, I can see initialization happened. So from next time onwards, what I can do, I can run the delta update. You see delta update came here, selecting delta and then clicking on save button. And if I click on start now, only delta records comes into my data. But before coming, I am extracting delta data into my BW. I would like to show you, where exactly this delta pointer is stored. But nowadays we are using BW4 HANA with ODP concept. Then what will happen? There won't be any delta pointer specific tables available in ECC, and there everything will be done with the RSD ODQMon. Okay, not in this traditional way, but ODQMon data will be extracted using ODQMon. Okay, but whatever it may be, the delta pointer concept is still same. Okay, so still we can learn with this way. Okay, so there are some tables where our delta information is stored. So let's go to the table to understand this. Okay. Mm. So we have a table called ROOS Gen DLM. This is the table where we can see in the source system. And if we go to this table, click on execute entries. Now here I can see I have a data source, my data source name GDS BW sales underscore 1 is there, and it is a delta ID. You see, it stored the delta pointer information as current date. Current system date is 29. So it is trying to update the delta pointer with the current date 2022 10/29. Okay, so now what exactly this means? So when I told you, right, when a delta pointer was created, on date field, system always try to store the current date information, not from the column, which you are trying to extract. Okay, so 29. So what happens now if I go to my table, I'm going to slash an sm30. Okay, and I'm trying to maintain some records into my table now. I'm trying to maintain some data records into my table. So which entry now I will go to do 1014, and then created on, I'm giving it as, I have data till 210, right? I'm giving 310, means I'm adding a new record into this table. Okay, M1 quantity, 10, and then ST. So I'm adding a new record to this table on the created on and clicking on save button. Okay, it means nothing but I generated the new record. So when I execute the delta info package now in my BW, I can expect some delta records, one record to come into my BW. Okay, but will it come? It won't come. You see, I am getting 0 records. It means the data which you added to your table is not coming into BW. Why it is not coming? Because the delta pointer was set to 29. If you add any record more than 29, that only will come. Let's see how, how it is working now. So I'm going to my table. Now I'm trying to add one more record. I'm adding 1015 with the date as 29/10/2022. Understanding delta pointer concept is very important. Okay, that's why I'm taking time. Please be patient. 15 ST. Okay, I am adding a new record and clicking on save button. So now this time I added a record with a date which is almost equal to, which is equal to the delta pointer date. So let's see if I execute my delta info package one more time, will it fetch data or not? I am clicking on start button. So if it is extracting, the delta pointer is bringing data greater than or equal to. So you see, still it is not fetching data. Okay, now let one more trial. So 29 is also not working. Now give one more trial with 30th date. Okay, 1016, 30, 10, 2022. In order to learn subject, okay, you must do some R&D on how exactly it is working. Okay, ST. M2, let's give M1 only. Okay, click on save button. So now I added a record in my table which is with a date which is greater than, not equal to, only greater than the delta date, means current date. So I added a record 30th. Now I'm going to info package. I'm trying to trigger delta one more time. Start button. Execute. It's not fetching any data to do here in this case. It is not fetching data anymore, right? So if on that date, so today is the delta pointer was set on date 29/10/2022. Okay, so you extracted some data on it. So later there are some records again added with the same date, and you want to bring the data into BW. But system is not fetching that information any into our BW. So how can you handle this one? Okay, because you are missing some data coming into BW, right? So what happened once the in delta info package got triggered, it is fetching some data, and again it is not fetching data from BW on that specific date. So today is 29th, it extracted some data into BW, and it did the timestamp. So if you go to here in the timestamp table, you see the delta ID stored as 29. So now if you are trying to bring again data into BW, the latest records, system is not fetching any latest records. Correct? So how to handle this scenario? So how to handle means, go to your data source. On the generic delta pointer, there is a concept called offset. Okay, safety interval upper limit and lower limit. On the lower limit, you need to give this value. Okay, so which value we need to provide here? So you go to the generic delta point, delta. On the delta, we have the safety interval lower limit. On the lower limit, give 1. So what exactly this limit 1 means? Okay, this limit 1 means it will go already my delta pointer was set to 29. Okay, then again I can run my next delta only on 30th. Okay, next I can run my delta only on 30, 21, 20, 10, 20, 22. But whenever I update my lower interval as 1, system what it will do is it will do -1, because lower means because of lower it will do -1 and fetch data from 29th. Okay, so you see now, say I am maintaining here -1, sorry 1 on the lower interval. I am maintaining 1 and clicking on save button, click on OK button, save button, and now I am trying to extract data into my BW, executing my delta info package. Now click on process monitor. You see data came with one record. This is my test one. Okay, one record came here. If I go to my PSA, so now in the PSA you see a record came with number 29. Okay, so now just to conclude this one, I am adding one more record into my here 1018. I am adding with the date 28/10/2022. Okay, with the M1 again with the quantity 10, unit ST. You see now, because you maintained lower limit as -1, now you execute your info package n number of times. It will always fetch data from 29th. But remember, what we learned now is when you are executing your delta pointer, what is happening, even though you have a data for 30th, the system not fetching this 30th information. It means in this particular data source, delta pointer on date, system is bringing data on the delta pointer date only. If it is first time, it will fetch data from history till date, and later on it will fetch data only less than or equal to your current date, less than or equal to current date. Your delta pointer is not fetching information of your future dates. 3011 is not coming into my your delta pointer only fetching information till less than or equal to current date. Since today is 29, system is fetching till 29 only. Even though you are giving the lower limit as 1, it means 30 minus 122, 29. So it is fetching only 29 data but not 30 data. Tomorrow only it will fetch 30th information. Okay, so now I given 28. So now just to make sure you know it, I am triggering my delta info package one more time. So whenever we execute the delta info package, system will go to this delta pointer table and checks when exactly this delta got executed. And from here, +1, the next delta is 30th. So from the next delta, it will do -1 and then it will extract data from 29. Okay, so now what happened, my info package, if I see my info package, again it extracted only one record with 29 data. So now if I'm going, now again I'm going to my generic delta. This time to make you understand clearly, I am giving my safety interval as 2. Okay, since I am changing my safety interval as 2, now to understand how exactly it is working. So now the next delta pointer must be on 30th date, 30th -2, which is from 28. So this time I have a record for 28, I have a record for 29, and if I had few more records for 29 also, everything will come into BW. So if I execute my info package again, start button. Go here. Now you see you have two records. In these two records, the date starts from 28th and 29. You see two records came. So but that's why whenever you are creating a custom data source based upon a table and along with the delta pointer on calendar date, it is important for you to enable this lower limit. Okay, at least lower limit 1 you must enable, so that on a particular day you can get a chance to run the delta info package on multiple times. But remember what happens if you enable the lower limit, you are getting duplicate data into your BW. So already you extracted data for 29. Again you are extracting data for 29 every time you are running the info package. So the duplicate data you must handle on the BW by creating some standard DSO with override property. Okay, so that what happens, data, even though duplicate data comes into BW, it will be overwritten again and again, so there won't be any problem with the data set. Okay, so that's all for today. So we covered about creation of custom data source on based on table, and we learned about how delta pointer works in custom data source. So this concept is same whether with the old mechanism or new with the ODQ months, because when you go with ODQ months, this there will be no delta pointer table in this way. This delta pointer information will be, everything will be taken care by your ODQ month only. Okay, so we will see that also in a later time. Okay, I'm stopping recording.